Hi, my name is Variz, and this is my mini grant proposal presentation for the class 791 Designing Principled Inquiry. I'm applying for a grant of $60,000 from the Institute of Museum and Library Services for the creation of a new YA position within the St. Mary's County Library System, and to also have additional funds for the creation of further teen programming. I currently work within the St. Mary's County Library System, specifically at the Leonardtown branch, and I think this money will definitely help our system fulfill the needs of our teen patrons. But before I get into too much of that information, let's talk a little bit about the St. Mary's County Library System. The St. Mary's County Library System exists about an hour south of DC, and it consists of 3 library branches: Leonardtown, Shaw Hall, and Lexington Park, and they serve a community of just over 100,000 residents. They offer a number of different programming, mostly for children and adults. Right here's a picture of us doing a stuffed animal sleepover. There I am holding my big teddy bear in. Another example of a children's program is a Superhero Academy we just did, where there was an obstacle course and also photo opportunities where they can pretend to be flying through the sky. And in addition to these programs, we also have regular story times every day of the week between the 3 different library branches. And we also find time to do different outreach opportunities, such as visiting the schools to promote library services and the summer reading program. There I am wearing the badges that you can win for summer reading. In addition to children programming, we do have a number of adult programs, mostly in the form of computer classes, ranging from Introduction to Word to Introduction to Photoshop to Excel. There's also advanced classes, and we also offer children computer classes as well. Okay, so clearly we have a lot of stuff going on within the St. Mary's County Library System. We have all of these children and adult programming going on all the time, in addition to keeping the library run. We have to keep the circulation and information desk staffed so we can do regular library stuff. So then what's the problem? I think the problem is that we spent so much time with our children and adult patrons, we've kind of forgotten about the people in the middle, the young adults. In the month of June 2015, not too long ago, we had 60 children's programs. That's 60 children's programs, 13 adult programs, and these are mostly in the form of computer classes, but there were some book discussions as well, and only 2 teen programs. Now, when I'm talking about our calendar of events, I mean the entire St. Mary's County Library System, so that means there's 3 branches, meaning in the month of June there was 1 branch that had 0 teen programs, because there's 3 of them, right? Now, I think the reason that this is a problem is if I look at our personnel manual and how our organization is organized, there are 18 adult reference librarians within the St. Mary's County Library System. There are 22 children librarians within the St. Mary's County Library System, and there are 0 librarians that are devoted strictly for YA programming and YA needs. I think this is the problem. So the grant that I'm applying for, $60,000 from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, will go directly to fund a YA position for the duration of 1 year, with some leftover funds to also put towards YA programming. Now I think this is a good place to talk about exactly where this money is coming from and why it's going to be such a great fit for the St. Mary's County Library System. Why what we want to do with the money fits exactly with their goals for why they give out grant money in the first place. As mentioned before, it comes from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, and the specific grant program is called National Leadership Grants for Libraries. Right here is a small quote I pulled straight from their website that describes their goals for what they want people to do with their money. Now, what are the funding categories? As you can see here, there are 4 main funding categories, and what I'm asking for is a $60,000 project grant to fund a project to help our library out. $60,000 is the bottom half of what they typically reward. Now, project grants, as the name implies, is to fund a project that will help a specific library out and possibly help the library filled out in return. I think this is exactly where it shows that this will be such a good partnership between St. Mary's County Library System and the Institute of Museum and Library Services. I'm going to read right here, this quote in black font here is straight from their website, and I think it fits perfectly with what we want to do with their money. It says, "We are interested in work that builds institutional capacity, develops STEM learning, engages community, and encourages partnerships to support all types of learning and inquiry, including participatory and hands-on learning in libraries." Now, with this money, by creating a YA position, a YA librarian position, whose main job is to create programming for teens and to perform outreach on behalf of teens. This is exactly what they will be doing. Now, before I get too far into exactly what the duties of this new position will be, I think it's important that we talk a little bit about the budget. If we are rewarded the $60,000 that we're requesting, we will spend it on funding for a YA librarian position for 1 year, with additional money left over for teen programming as well. The way we will make it work is we will fund for a position that counts for 28 hours a week at $18 an hour. That'll give them an annual rate of $52,416. It will be a no benefited position, no paid leave. And with that, they will have additional money of $7,584 left over for programming. This will be a great thing for our library because not only will we create the new YA position, but that extra money left over to fund additional programming will be immensely valuable. Now, once we've created the brand new position of YA librarian within the St. Mary's County Library System, what will their duties be? Well, I've listed their 3 main duties here in order of priority. And I think it's important that we list the order of priority because I find that from working within a public library system, it's very easy to have one goal in mind, and then you end up finding 5 other things you try to do at the same time, and then you forget about that original goal. So it's very important that I think we list the priority for this position. Number 1, the development and implementation of team programming. This has got to be the most important thing for this new position because it's the reason it's been created. Number 2, the collection maintenance of the YA collection at the Leonardtown Branch Library. Now, I think it's important to note that although this position is created for the St. Mary's County Library System, since the grant will only fund it for 1 year, I think it's very important that the efforts of this new position stay at one branch. Because if you get spread too thin, they'll barely be able to get anything done within all 3 branches. I think if they stay focused on just one branch, Leonardtown, they'll be able to get a lot more done within 1 calendar year. The reason I chose Leonardtown is because it's centrally located. It's just between the other 2 branches. So to me, it made the most sense. Now, to get back to point number 2, the reason I added collection maintenance to their list of duties is because it dawned on me that if we have no permanent YA librarian within the St. Mary's County Library System, which we have not had before, maybe the collection is also damaged as well. Maybe it's just not that well. Maybe the items have become damaged over time, or maybe our collection just isn't that great. Maybe there's things we can add. So I added that as a list of priorities for this new teen librarian because I think it's very important. You create programming to get the teens in, but if you don't have good stuff for them to read, they're not going to check anything out. And then finally, the third thing is outreach opportunities in the local area. I already mentioned that we do a lot of outreach for children's and for adult. We go to a lot of elementary schools in the area to promote our programs. We go to senior citizen centers. We go to a lot of different community outreach events, such as state fairs and whatnot. But we don't do a lot towards the middle or high schools. I think it's very important that we get out there and we promote directly to the teens. So these will be the 3 main duties for the YA librarian. 1, development of teen programming. 2, collection maintenance of the YA collection. And 3, outreach opportunities, all teen related. If the St. Mary's County Library System is awarded the $6,000 grant, it will help us out in 2 main ways. 1, we will have the creation of a position solely dedicated to helping our teen patrons. One that we've already discussed, I think, have kind of been forgotten a little bit by us. And 2, with the additional funds left over, they will have the money available to actually make a good change. They will have the tools available to make programming awesome. Now, once the year is done, we'll perform an evaluation of our services to see how successful this YA position was. Did it increase teen visitations to the library? Did we see YA circulation jump? After talking with some local schools, did the teachers think it was very helpful having a YA librarian visit the schools? This is what we will do. Now, if we determine that having this position for a full year was very helpful, I'm hoping that this evidence we can bring to our library board, and then they can make a full-time YA position permanent in our library system with our original funding. The trick is, with our original funding, it is something that hasn't existed before. So I think we need evidence to show that it could be a really good thing. So having 1 solid year of having a YA librarian in the St. Mary's County Library System, afterwards see how well they did. If we see that they did a fantastic job and they really helped out the teens in our area, then I'm hoping that the library board can be persuaded to make this a permanent position with our original funding. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.